Hey guys, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet video. In today's video, we're talking about the new 7-star raid that is going to be coming in 2 weeks from now. I think it's 2 weeks from now, roughly. We're going to be seeing Decidueye make an appearance into the game as a 7-star raid battle. As you can see in the news for the game, we can prepare to face the mighty Decidueye with the mightiest mark. It will be available from the 17th of March to the 19th of March, so just for that weekend, and then again later the following weekend. Now, Decidueye is normally a grass ghost type Pokemon, but in this case it will have the flying Tera type. Okay, so let's have a look at Decidueye in terms of its stats, its hidden abilities, and everything that's going on here. So like we mentioned, it is a grass ghost type, but it will have the flying Tera type. So you need to bring moves that are going to be able to counter its flying, but you need to be careful of the grass and ghost type moves that it's going to be able to use against you as well. Now, if you look at the stats of Decidueye, it doesn't really have a crazy HP, doesn't have a crazy defense, and its speed is a little bit lackluster as well. So you can see just from its defense, 75 defense compared to 100 special defense, you're going to want to try focus hitting this one with physical attacks. Physical attacks will make this so much more easier than using special attacks. But in terms of you getting attacked, it can hit you really hard either physically or specially, so make sure you have enough special defense and a normal defense so that you can survive an onslaught from this Decidueye. Now, Decidueye's normal weaknesses are to fire, ice, flying, ghost, and dark, but because it's going to have the flying Tera type, that means it will only be super weak to electric type moves, ice type moves, and rock type moves. Now, I would not recommend bringing a rock Pokemon because they are weak to grass. You will get destroyed. So that leaves you with two options, either going with electric type attacks or ice type attacks. So this brings you to two options, either Iron Hands with its electric type move or Baxcalibur with ice type moves. I'm actually going to opt for the Baxcalibur in this case because it's something new that I can build, whereas I already have an Iron Hands and I want to just try something new, but I don't even know if Iron Hands will actually work for this, but Baxcalibur should work quite nicely, I think. Now, the strategy for Iron Hands will basically be using your electric type moves. You're going to use Belly Drum to double your attack, which obviously goes from 140 to 280, which makes you incredibly strong and gives you potential to like one-shot the Decidueye or at least bring it down very low. And you're just going to couple this with the Thunder Punch and the Shell Bell item to basically just try defeat the Decidueye. However, I'm just very worried about this very low special defense because Decidueye can attack you both for normal attack and special attack, so I'm a bit worried there in case Belly Drum is probably going to get you killed like with most other cases. But who knows, it might work, but it might just work, but I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to actually train a Baxcalibur, which is a Dragon Ice type. Dragon only is weak to other Dragon type moves, which is fine. Now, if you look at Baxcalibur's stats here, it has a good HP. I think it has just slightly higher attack than the Iron Hands, so your attack is going to be fine. You're going to be very strong. You've got good defense, and you've got good special defense. However, we are going to EV train and put EVs both into defense, special defense, and 100% into attack. Your weaknesses as Baxcalibur are going to be to fighting, rock, dragon, steel, and fairy, and I don't think Decidueye even has any fairy attacks. It doesn't have any fairy, it doesn't have any steel, it doesn't have any like rock attacks. There's also no dragon attacks, which is great. The only thing you might need to be worried about is if it has the low sweeping fighting move, which is the only fighting move that it has available. And even then, it's only 65 damage, and we are going to EV train our defense so that we're able to sustain any physical hits that we take. So it's going to be counted for. There's nothing that's going to be super effective to us other than this low sweep. All right, so let's talk about how you build this Baxcalibur. In terms of IVs, you obviously want to Hyper Train or have Best in every single slot. Special attack doesn't really matter, but everything else does matter that it's Best because you'll get 31 extra stats if it is Best or Hyper Trained in those stats. As for the nature, you're going to want Adamant nature, and you can tell it's Adamant by the red up arrow on attack and the blue down arrow on special attack. What this means is there is a 10% increase to your stats on attack and a 10% decrease to your stats on special attack. So this increases our physical attack a lot more, which is our highest attacking stat. In terms of the ability of Baxcalibur, it does not really matter which ability you have. There's no real like benefit to either of them according to facing Decidueye. Decidueye's abilities don't really affect you either in this case. You do, however, need to have a level 100 Baxcalibur because you are facing a 7-star raid. Level 100 Pokemon are almost 100% guaranteed needed at this point. You'll also need the Ice Tera type for Baxcalibur. In terms of EVs for the Pokemon, you're going to want to put 252 attack EVs. So obviously you can just drink 26 of the attack protein nutritious drinks to get a maximum of 252 into attack, which is going to raise your attack by 63 stats. Now, for the other EVs, I've actually done a 50-50 split of the lost amount into special defense and defense. So what this means is I've put 128 EVs into special defense and 128 EVs into normal defense. If you want to do this easily, all you have to do is drink 13 iron proteins for defense and then 13 ones for special defense. 13 nutritious drinks will give you 130 for one of the stats, and then the 13 on the other one will cap out and give you 128. But you must raise your attack EVs first to 252 for that to work. But that is the EV layout. So it's 252 attack, 128 defense, 128 special defense, a minimum at least. In terms of the moves that we're using, we have 3 ice moves and 1 normal move, right? So we have the Swords Dance move that is going to sharply increase our attack stat, which is going to allow us to hit very, very hard. If you're trying to solo, and if maybe Decidueye is maybe possible to hit in 1 or 2 attacks, then setting up for Swords Dance is going to be a great strategy. So I highly recommend putting it on here. You have to learn this move through a TM from the TM machine though. Our main attack that I'm planning to use is Icicle Spear. Now, this is a move that attacks, up to 2 or 5 times in a row for a power of 25. If you look at this the first time, you might be like, oh, but what if you get unlucky and it only attacks twice and you only get 50 damage? Don't worry. We have a held item that is going to guarantee that it always attacks 4 times or more. So that means it can always be 100 damage or 125 damage, which is very good for an attack. And you can see here the PP is crazy. You can use this attack 48 times, which is fantastic. Before we talk about Icicle Crash, I want to move on to Snowscape. Snowscape is a snowstorm that you put on the terrain that lasts for 5 turns. This boosts the defense stats of ice-type Pokemon, so this means you're going to take much less damage. If you're a solo player, this is probably something you want to put up. I don't know if it's really going to affect other people in multiplayer. It might not work so great, but if you're doing this on solo, you want to try have as much defense as you can, and this is going to be great. So setting up a Snowscape, doing Swords Dance for two times, if you can get 3 times will be crazy, and then going straight into Icicle Spear, you'll probably kill Decidueye in at least 1 to 2 attacks, I think. However, you might need to chair heal because we don't have any healing here. Now, if you do want to use the healing strategy, you can always hold the Shell Bell item, which we use on every other Pokemon for Tera raids, but you're going to have to use the move Icicle Crash instead. This is a 90 accuracy, 85 power ice attack. It's our strongest hitting ice attack that's like a single attack that will allow us to heal directly. Unfortunately, you cannot use Shell Bell with Icicle Spear because Icicle Spear requires an item that guarantees it to hit 4 times. Otherwise, you're only going to do 25 damage or 50 damage, which is not what you want. You will have access to Icicle Spear and Icicle Crash in the normal moveset for this Pokemon. Snowscape, however, you do need to learn the TM of, just like you did with Swords Dance. The held item we're going to use with Icicle Spear is called the Loaded Dice. An item held by a Pokemon, this Loaded Dice always rolls a good number. Holding one can ensure that the holder's multi-strike moves hit more times. This is guaranteed to hit a minimum of 4 times every single time. You can sometimes hit 5 as well, which is great. So that build with Icicle Spear is what I'm going to try. Obviously, this is all just planning and speculation before we actually get the 7-star raid. This is what I've built, so this is what I've got ready. If you guys want to copy me and get ready for it, this is what you can do as well. I will make a video again once the event is out just to show you what order of moves works, what you should do. Should you do Swords Dance? Should you set up the snow terrain? Do we change one of the moves? But as long as you have the Pokemon at level 100 and ready, you should be good to go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching.